So they'll be calling you a radical coincidence, I guess. But I was talking to Tim Martin today. He's the famous salmon guide in Oregon, and he had to, he had a heart attack. Well, a heart situation. Thank God they were able just to go in and put a stent in him the same time that I had. Dana Durnford has had the massive heart attack. I mean, all simultaneously. We're all about the same age. We ain't that old, you know. So I give an update on Dana. I haven't heard from him today, so I don't know anything. Last I heard was yesterday, and he said that he was still in the clinic as of yesterday, trying to be stabilized so he could be moved to the hospital. And I really don't know much. I asked him how he's feeling, and he texted back, terrible. So I don't know the extent of it. I'm coming around. I'm on the 10th. Today's Reagan's birthday. It's the 4th. So, I mean, we can do math, right? I mean, day 24. So, I want people to understand, when I was in vogue and I took on all this, when I was involved with Anonymous, Fukushima, and I organized the Million Mass March, me and a few others, and put this baby together, the anti-police brutality, the anti-corruption, the Fukushima thing. And, I was everywhere. I mean, that giant falling giant. And then their answer is the internet killed me. People, when I got cancer, it was such a compelling story. And people just used me, profited from me. And I look back, and the people that took on the Fukushima disaster were, for the most part, war profiteers. And then in 2016, post-election, they magically dropped it. Dana didn't. I sure the hell didn't. It's irony because, I don't watch TV, but I'm pretty well quarantined trying to rehab, get through this. So I've watched a little bit of TV, watched some documentaries. And the Seth Rich documentary pops up. I'm like, well, boy, them days in D.C. with Mikhail Lessin and Kevin Blanch, as far as the narrative goes, Louis Mass March. Mikhail Lessin was killed on Remember the 5th of November. And there's two YouTube bloggers that show up on there that started the same time as me, and I'm like, well, sure glad I distanced myself from those people. I mean, they somehow twisted Fukushima and somehow being a conspiracy. What they did to Dunford, what they did to myself, I'm like, Fukushima is the opposite of a conspiracy. Fukushima is the most reality in human history. These are nuclear meltdowns. Well, you're talking that they weren't. I mean, so I did my moratorium. I wouldn't do interviews, and now I look back and I know why. Finally in, was it 2013, 14? I think it's 13 February. I says, okay, I'll lift it. So much pressure on me. Now I know why I would do those interviews. I did 90 in 60 days. Oh my God, they were insane. People sitting around their kitchen table talking. I mean, it was so fucking insane. I look back how fucked up people are in their heads. I'll tell you what is conspiracy. It's an unarguable fact. The cover-up of Fukushima. And if you don't think that's not true, you don't have half a brain cell. They're still using the crippled Fukushima. Worst disaster since Chernobyl. Still calling Chernobyl worse than Fukushima. Still calling it a hydrogen blast, a crippled reactor. Use the mob to clean it up. No one hurt, no one killed. Science, nobody. I mean, if that's not a conspiracy, what the fuck is? The fact that the meltdowns happened, for which I knew, this is my field. Ate, slept, drink it my whole life. I had to go rogue. You stay inside the university circle, which I was heavily. I was a student professor at the #1 school of business in the United States. Unarguable. You have to bolt and go rogue. I'm not a big YouTube guy. I'm not. I'm not even a big internet guy. But I had to have a place. YouTube in the early days was calling themselves the Great Equalizer. Before they killed freedom of speech, before people just started to lie. And let's go back to Fox News. Let's go Seth Rich. If you don't think Fox News lies and puts it out there, then you don't know anything about that case. By the way, it's still unsolved, but Fox News just lies. That's all they do. They make shit up. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. George W. Bush won the 2000 election. It's all lies. It's lies. Yet they'll group anybody telling the truth. I'm a PhD. I went rogue and I did the work. I mean, I'm not a YouTube narrative. I'm not a spin doctor. All I hear is radio goo goo gaga. Take the narrative, the spin of the spin of the spin. I do the work. I don't have a political bias. I have no bias politically. Now, my bias towards the nuclear industry and the whole nuclear industry, oh yeah, I have that. I had that in the originality because they murdered my father in the Nevada test site. So, anyway, we fight on. The Fukushima lies. So I don't know about Dana, but what a coincidence. Stay tuned.